Welcome to Contacto, brought to you by the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Today, we have with us some very, very special guests. Joining us are Jacob Monty. He's a managing partner of Monty Partners, a law firm here in Houston, and the President and CEO of Neighborhood Centers Incorporated, Angela Blanchard. And last but not least, one of our chamber members, Sergio Grado, who's got an interesting story to share with you. Angela and Jacob, thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad to have you here. I know, Jacob, you've served on our board before, and Angela, you all have been members of our chamber for some time now, so we appreciate your participation. I know that we've got some important business to talk about, which is immigration reform, and both of you bring some different experiences and information for our members. I'd like to start off with Angela on the side of the families and the impact that all of this has on a lot of the constituents that you serve here in the Houston area.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for including me in this conversation. I can't really think of a more important conversation. The decisions that we make about who belongs in our country and how we treat people that come here are fundamental to what makes up a great nation. So our primary concern at Neighborhood Centers, Inc. is really what happens to children and families as they try to navigate our immigration system, which everyone agrees is broken. We see a lot of incredible pain and hardship that could be avoided if we had sensible immigration reform. I think to get there, we have to have useful conversations like this one in which people listen to one another and learn. It's a complex issue and there aren't simple answers. So our families and children are struggling and businesses are struggling.
Give me an example of some of the children or families that have been directly impacted by some of the things that we're seeing in Houston.
Well, I think that the situation children find themselves in is particularly painful because we have 5 million children in the country that have parents whose documentation status is questionable. They have been unsuccessful in navigating our system, which is incredibly complex. Many of them well-meaning. Many of the families have spent money to try to do it right, have not been able to. And they're trying to figure out what to do. In the meantime, their children, who are citizens, are struggling with the fear on a daily basis that they're going to lose their parents. And it's a justifiable fear because we've deported in the last few years 100,000 parents of children who are citizens of the United States. And so even the children, of course, who haven't lost a parent to this circumstance, I'm told by families that mothers give their children pieces of paper to put in their backpacks, and that on the paper are the numbers the children are to call if they come home and their parents are gone. So this is a fear children live with day in and day out, and it has terrible adverse effects on their ability to perform in school, on just their sense of security and belonging in the country that they are citizens of. So we see that impact. We see people taken advantage of, people saying, oh, I can help you with this citizenship issue. They go to someone who takes their money and tells them, oh, all the papers are taken care of, everything's fine. $10,000 poorer. A few years later, they learn, no, that hasn't happened. And then they learn it when they're being deported. So these are the things that we work to try to prevent. The misunderstandings, the confusion, the exploitation. We create immigration forums so that people can come and sitting with a reputable, trained attorney, they can learn their actual status and whether or not they can move forward or what they're going to have to do for a next step. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we try to help. But there are challenges every step of the way, and in a country that really believes the family is the fundamental unit of society and the one most valued and most worthy of protection, it's hard to see the decisions we've made and the laws we make really break families up and strain them to the breaking point.
Well, Jacob, I know that you've been working on this whole immigration issue for many, many years, and your law firm has done a phenomenal job of providing information and really helping people go through this maze. You said something at one of our recent events, which was that there is no right way. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, the myth is, why won't the undocumented simply do it the right way? Why won't they just get their papers done? And there is no right way or legal way to fix your status if you entered without inspection. And unless you started the paperwork in 2001, there's no legal way to regularize your status, even if you marry a U.S. citizen. So we need to dispel the myth that you can do it the legal way. There is no legal way. This is the only problem in America that you can't throw money at and it will go away. We get called upon by clients every week asking us, can you help us fix the papers of this carpenter, of this superintendent, of this physical therapist? And there's no way to fix the problem unless we change the law. So business is suffering because there's still a labor shortage. We still need more workers than we have here in the country, and we need to meet that shortage. And we're also, companies are also being penalized because they're being turned into criminals because they don't fill out the I-9 form properly, or they run afoul of some of the other prohibitions. And companies are facing huge fines, criminal penalties. So we've heard about how families are suffering. Businesses are also suffering.
So for them, what is one of the solutions if they have people who are working with them and they are trying to get some guidance and assistance in making sure that they are filling out at the very least, those forms correctly?
Well, at a minimum, you need an I-9 form, but and that needs to be completed for every employee that you have, regardless of the size of the employer. You need an I-9 form. But that's only the beginning of the problem, because the current system has helped the fake document vendors. It's helped the human smugglers. So many of the undocumented have documents that they present during the I-9 process, but they're fraudulent documents.
So who is responsible for that? If I'm an employer and an employee presents documents that are fake, am I responsible for that, Jacob?
Well, if the documents appear genuine on their face, and most of them do, you can accept those documents as valid if you believe that to be the case. So employers do have safe harbor if they were fooled by the documents, but that doesn't mean that the employees won't be rounded up in an ICE raid. So employers still also have that uncertainty that their workforce may be gone tomorrow if ICE decides to come by and conduct an inspection. So the uncertainty is very tough on businesses. Businesses like certainty. They like a constant flow of workers. They like to be able to rely on workers, and the current system doesn't give them that.
We're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back.